chilly day, once again we find ourselves before the Supreme Court standing together because of a dispute, shall I say, about what it means for this country to be a country and to remain a country that honors religious liberty, not just for a few, but for everybody. Muslim Advocates is a legal advocacy organization that fights in the courts, in the halls of power, in the streets, to make sure that Americans of all faiths are able to practice their religion freely and equally, without justice and without targeting or discrimination. In that context, we've been at the forefront of the fight against the Muslim ban and have submitted amicus briefs in a number of very critical religious liberty cases like this one. And over the course of this work, we have always stood for a concept of religious liberty that is about genuine religious pluralism and that actually honors the meaning and the intention of the Establishment Clause. With a case like this one, I think all of those things kind of come together. We are here today because we're talking about the fact that there is a giant cross that stands on public land, maintained by public funds, that represents one particular religious viewpoint. There is nothing ambiguous about that. A cross has always been a religious symbol. And the question that we have to pose today is, what does it mean for religious minorities or for people of no faiths when a government actor is able to put such a cross on public land and claim that it's a symbol that symbolizes everybody? It makes people who are not of that religion feel particularly shut out and not as welcome and not as much participants fully in public life just because of their religious affiliation or their lack of religious affiliation. At the end of the day, it's not really about a cross. Just as in the Masterpiece Cake Shop case, it wasn't really about cake. It's about the idea that our country has fundamentally always stood for the fact that anybody of any religious persuasion or no religious persuasion at all can feel equally welcome, and that the government is not going to put a thumb on the scale. It's not going to favor one particular religious viewpoint over another. Over the past few months especially, we have seen a dangerous erosion of that idea. I mean, we stood here in June and we saw two twin decisions, one in the Masterpiece Cake Shop case and one in the Muslim ban case. In one decision, the views of a Christian baker were favored over the rights to non-discrimination of a gay couple because of a stray comment by one government official that had nothing to do with the ultimate decision. And in the same term, we saw a decision in Trump versus Hawaii against a record of undisputed animus against Muslims and statement after statement that denigrated Muslims, and a policy that was clearly and overtly and transparently motivated by anti-Muslim hate. And we saw the Supreme Court step aside and say, oh, we're not going to touch this. I think that that's a dangerous precedent. And I think that this case sort of stands among those cases and other cases that are really fundamentally about testing whether the Establishment Clause of the Constitution is going to continue to protect us all. And fundamentally, that's what this case is about. We hope that the court will uphold the Fourth Circuit decision. We hope that this country will continue to be one that welcomes people of all faiths, and that doesn't actually say that on public lands and in public spaces, we're only going to favor one religious viewpoint over all others. Thank you very much for being here and for having me, and on to the next.